Hello my viewers, welcome back to this channel. Subscribe because you'll find my video very interesting. Give this video a thumbs up by tapping on the like button and feel free to be part of the conversation. It's about the 30-year-old woman named Mica that was found dead on April 27th, and her husband was John Paul, who was also a pastor, has been under a lot of security because apparently he is at a very high up church. His dad has a very checked past, to say the least, and there was a lot history of alleged in the weeks leading up to Mica being found dead. She had found that her tires has been slashed, that there was a tracking device on her car, and she made allegedly a lot of outcries to friends and family that if anything ever happened to her, it was her husband. However, her 911 call has been released and it has been ruled a self-inflicted. But here is the thing. Just days leading up to her death, she posted a video in which she talks about divorce. She talks about how to escape on her marriage, and she also insinuates that she was being tracked by her husband. Yeah. Okay guys, drop your opinion on the comment section of what you think on this video, and don't forget we do not support any forms of harassment or whatever. We are here for educational purposes, so please subscribe to this channel, like and share. But before then, let's get into the video.
This is 30-year-old Mica Miller, and police have ruled her death on April the 27th a suicide. And many people were upset with that ruling and wondered about her husband, a Myrtle Beach minister who I believe is a whole piece of shit. Police have released a video timeline of her last hours on Earth, starting with her Ring doorbell at her home and following up with surveillance cameras at the pawn shop where she purchased the gun that she eventually used to unalive herself. Also, they have released an audio tape of the 911 dispatch call she made prior to unaliving herself. So, I'm going to play that audio, and it may be hard to hear for some. Exercise caution, but this is what happened in the last hours of her death.
Robeson County 911, what's the address of your emergency?
Hi, are you able to trace the location of my phone?
Let me see. You don't know where you're at?
At National Park.
What's the phone number you're calling me from?
843-655-5242.
Where's the park located at?
In Fair Bluff.
Let's see.
I have my location on, I think, on my phone. Find my phone is on. Just did my share my location.
Okay, I'm showing, hold on 1 second. I don't think you are in Robeson County. At the Lumber River State Park?
Yeah, that's where I am.
Okay. Tell me what's happened.
I'm about to
county. At the Lumber River State Park?
Yeah, that's where I am.
Okay. Tell me what's happened.
I'm about to kill myself, and I just want my family to know where to find me.
Okay, ma'am. Just listen to what I'm saying, okay? Let me make sure I got the exact location where you're at, okay? Just 1 minute.
Now, before you all go in on the dispatcher of that call, understand that while she was on the phone with Mica, she was also talking in the background to other emergency service people to mobilize them to get to where Miller was located. And while her pastor husband may be a whole piece of shit, as well as the motivation behind her deciding to unalive herself, this is how the police reached the conclusion they did in this case.
She finds out that her tire was slashed by someone, and then the mechanic, as Rachel just noted, finds a tracking device. Just think about that for a moment as to how creepy that would be for somebody to find out that somebody had attached a tracking device to your car and was tracking your whereabouts.
Mica Miller had told authorities several times about strange things that were happening to her and that she was afraid for her life. She had her tire slashed and a tracking device attached to her car. This was all happening while she was filing for divorce from her husband, which she had attempted to do several times in the past. Mica had met her husband when she was just 14, and he was a pastor at a church and had 5 kids. They later would get married when Mica was older. Mica called 911 and calmly told the dispatcher where she was and that she was going to unalive herself. But because of the many weird things happening to her leading up to this, many believe she did not unalive herself, but that her husband did something to her. After she was found, her husband went to his church and told everyone that she unalived herself and told them not to tell anyone that he was telling them. The church said they have relieved him of his duties and their site has been taken down. Police say they have a possible male suspect, but have not confirmed if it is the husband or not.
Mica Miller, the 30-year-old woman who was found dead and everybody was suspecting her husband, the pastor, was behind it, her 911 call was just released and it is heartbreaking to listen to. Tomorrow we are dropping a full deep dive episode on this case outlining everything, including past allegations. It's over on the podcast Seriously. Don't miss it.
I think it's important that we talk about Mica Miller's last moments because there's a significant takeaway from this. Mica's caught on her Ring camera leaving, alone. She's caught on surveillance camera, again, alone, walking into a store to purchase a weapon. Then she's caught again at the counter, alone, with seemingly a smile on her face, purchasing the weapon that will ultimately end her life. From there, she ends up going to a state park that she Googled, walks another hour, calls 911 to make sure that somebody can find her body, and ultimately ends her life. And as of now, based on everything that we have seen and heard and the evidence out there, it appears that she made this decision on her own and took her own life. However, and this part's significant, when you look at these pictures, she doesn't seem to be distressed. She seems to be at ease and at peace with the decision that she's about to make. And it's my opinion that the reason that she seems at peace is because she knows that it's finally going to stop. All the abuse and the stalking and the tormenting. This was posted by a friend of hers, and I'll do a full video on this later, but the part that I want to point out here is that apparently she was broke. She couldn't even afford a toothbrush, soap, etc. She had to ask a friend for money to help pay the taxes on her car. And that's because allegedly, JP also abused her financially and she had nothing left. This is a horrific tragedy in every possible way, and even though it appears that JP did not actually pull the trigger, I think that you can still argue that JP is responsible after the years of alleged abuse that led Mica to think that she had no other option.
On April 27th, 30-year-old Mica Miller was found dead. Now, her husband, John Paul, who is also a pastor, has been under a lot of scrutiny because apparently he is at a very high-up church. His dad has a very checkered past, to say the least, and there was a long history of alleged abuse. In the weeks leading up to Mica being found dead, she had found that her tires had been slashed, there was a tracking device on her car, and she made allegedly a lot of outcries to friends and family that if anything ever happened to her, it was her husband. However, her 911 call has been released, and it has been ruled self-inflicted. But here's the thing. Just days leading up to her death, she posted a video in which she talks about divorce, she talks about how to escape an marriage, and she also insinuates that she was being drugged by her husband.
Whether that's somebody forcing you to take illegal drugs.
Is there more to this story? I'm breaking it all down for you over on my podcast, Seriously.
Just go ahead and lock him up already. Please just lock him up. This John Paul Miller guy, he has to be locked up immediately. They need to go pick him up, okay? So if you don't know the story about Mica Miller, I suggest you go look it up. It's kind of like all over social media. I was actually on her Facebook all last night just in sadness because I feel like she was just such a good woman. She looks like she was God-fearing, just looked like a good person. And from what we all believe, they say that she did that to herself, but we all already know who did it to her, period. My whole thing is I'm waiting for them to go pick him up because this story is like a Lifetime movie, bro. Like, you mean to tell me you got with this woman when she was 14 years old, groomed her, oh, and then you had left your ex-wife for her. You get with her and you do everything possible to break this woman down. You abuse her mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, just straight taking her through hell. She finally decides that she wants to leave you and she go move somewhere else and start a new life and join a new church and build a new community with people that's trying to help her get through that process. Just for one day for her to say out of nowhere, hey, I'm going back to my husband. My husband forgave me and I'm basically going back to him. Suspicious, right? So I saw her friends' social media where they was like, this is what she texted us, and it didn't seem like it was her. Yeah, it didn't seem like it was her, or he was literally making her do that. But long story short, she goes back to him, and I don't know the exact events, like how many times she went back, but all I know is she went back, and that was it. Her life was over. So, well, the part that kills me, he is the most narcissistic, like arrogant, evil man I've ever seen. When you watch his sermons, because he is a pastor. I told y'all about them church people, right? He gives arrogant. He announced her death at the end of one of his sermons at church. Like, he just announced it like it was just another day. And mind you, he still did his service the day after she passed away. Y'all following me on this? Like, how do you get up the next day and go do your sermon and preach at church with no emotion the day or days after your wife has passed away? How? So I'm gonna need them to go ahead and lock this man up, okay? We can say innocent until proven guilty, but we already know. And then this man was spotted out with his mistress. Yeah. So I mean, the story writes itself. He got rid of her because one or two things. Her friend said that she was literally texting her right before the day before about plans they had, bro. It's just like, I just hope, like, I'm infuriated with this story. I hope they just lock him up. That's it. Just get him, lock him up, and throw away the key. Okay, period. Justice for Mica.
We need to talk about Mica Miller, the mysterious circumstances surrounding her death, and what's going on with her husband. This is 30-year-old Mica Miller, and on April 27th, she passed away from a fatal gunshot wound. She was found in Lumber River State Park in North Carolina, about an hour away from her home in Myrtle Beach. Mica was married to John Paul Miller, a pastor in South Carolina where they lived, and the day after her death, he did 2 sermons for several hours that seemed completely normal. He was making jokes, smiling, acting completely normal. And then at the end, after preaching for several hours, he made the announcement of his wife's death, including saying that he believed it was self-inflicted, even though at the time the investigation was ongoing. He also revealed some pretty personal information about Mica and her mental health struggles. Watch what he said.
Do an altar call today. Instead, I'm going to have you stand up and I'm going to make an announcement. And after the announcement, I'm going to ask that you leave church quietly and don't talk about the announcement here in the building, please, if you can, so y'all can stand to your feet. Before I make the announcement, I also want to say that my request to you is that you will continue to come to church and serve and give for the next, little bit, because I don't want to I'm taking a little bit of a break, and I don't want to have to worry about the church. My break may be a few days, a few weeks, I don't know. I got a call late last night. My wife has passed away. And it was self-induced, and it was up in North Carolina. And we're going to have a funeral for her next Sunday here at 3 p.m. And so it's all I can, I'm just kind of going on adrenaline right now. So y'all pray for me and my kids and everybody. And she wasn't, y'all knew that she wasn't well mentally, and that she needed her medicine that was hard to get to her. And so I'm sure there'll be more details to come. But just keep our family in your prayers.
So John Paul Miller claims that Mica took her own life, but many of her family and friends do not believe that to be true. This morning, it was announced that Mica's official cause of death was a gunshot wound to the head that was self-inflicted. However, many people are concerned that there was more going on. At the time of Mica's death, she was in the middle of divorcing John Paul. Just 2 days before she died, she filed for divorce, and according to her father, she also filed a no-contact order. She had reportedly filed for divorce back in October and then withdrew it in February, only to refile just a few days before her death. And then the day before her death, Mica and John Paul were granted a court date to settle everything for June 5th. And then on May 2nd, two of Mica's siblings filed affidavits in which they say that Mica feared for her life amid the divorce proceedings. So Sierra Francis, Mica's sister, filed a sworn affidavit as part of an application to be the special administrator for her sister's estate. And in the affidavit, Sierra wrote, quote, "Mica stated to me on many occasions, if I end up with a bullet in my head, it was JP," referring to her husband. Sierra said, "I know my sister to have expressed the abuse and violence against her by her husband to others, including family members and members of the church congregation." She also said, "My sister also expressed to me that she was fearful that she would not make it to the divorce and that her life would be taken from her. It is my belief that she told multiple people, including other family members." Mica's brother Nathaniel said in his affidavit, "Mica confided in me that John Paul moved her belongings out of their marital residence so that he could keep an eye on her. Following this, Mica then retained an attorney for the purposes of filing for divorce from her husband and joined a new church." Sierra also mentioned this in her affidavit, saying, "My sister was not aware that her personal possessions had been removed from her residence until she was released from the hospital. This is in reference to a mental hospital that Mica spent some time in, during which John Paul moved all of her belongings out of the home." Sierra went on to say, prior to her admission to that mental health hospital, Mica was gathering and sorting the evidence she had to bring an attorney for filing for divorce to support her claims against Mr. Miller and as to his abuse, his characters, associates he paid off or blackmailed, etc. While at the facility, those documents, emails, and files were removed from her phone, personal laptop, vehicle, and purse and never recovered. Sierra also alleged in her affidavit that Mica believed John Paul had hired people to follow her. She said that John Paul had also transferred assets, including the deed to their home, to one of his sons. And again, he moved Mica's personal belongings from their home while she was undergoing treatment at that mental health facility.
Like, seriously, lovelies, women need to be very careful, especially if you're dealing with a narcissist, man as a husband. How could this man actually watch his wife go through all of this, and after which he just pretended as if nothing happens? He had nerves to go to his pulpit and, give a sermon, and after that he has to, announce it casually as if it was just a chicken or a cow that's actually passed. Like, this is so heartbreaking. If you're a woman watching and listening at the top of my voice, you noticed anything, you don't just need to continue to say if you're going to manage. It's better for you to get out there, with your life than stay in a relationship that might actually cost you your whole. Like, look at this beautiful woman. I don't know what she must have passed through, but whatever she must have passed through was what actually pushed her to do whatsoever that she did to herself. And how could he even put a tracker? How could there be a tracker in her car? Like, who could do that if not the person that she called her husband? Like, I do not even understand the meaning of marriage, husband, and all of this. But the only thing I have to say is that if you notice that your partner is becoming someone that is going to add negativity or pains and sufferings into your life, the best thing you have to do is just to change, maybe even if it's location, change the place that he could actually, notice you. Because if you end up, the way this woman just end up is still very bad. She could have avoided this by, going far away and not coming close to this man. I don't know what he actually had against her. I don't know what actually made her to, let her go back to this man. Nobody knows what is happening, but the only thing I need to, tell each and every one of us is that it's very, very better for you as a wife, a mother, to actually struggle to survive. You have to struggle to stay pure for the sake, not only for your sake, but for the sake of your offspring, for the sake of the people that you brought into this world, especially your kids. You have to, fight to be alive for them. You don't have to give devil the chance to take over you and leave your kids to be in jeopardy. So what happens to have 5 kids now that she left behind? Like, seriously, when I saw this media, I was just reflecting. This high time a lot of people need to think more about themselves and forget about what any other person have to think about you. You have to think about yourself. Yourself comes first before any other person, because when you are long gone, these people will just leave you alone. The highest they will money you is just about 1-2 months, and that is it. And life goes on. So you just have to, you have to struggle. You have to struggle to survive, not for yourself, but for the sake of the people that genuinely or truly loves you. Like, this is just so heartbreaking. I could not even, condone how I feel right now about this miller of a woman. She feels like someone, or she looks like someone that is so, peaceful, that is so genuine, that is so lovable. And just look at it. Look at it. With someone that actually never cared about you. Just look at the way this man was just at the pulpits, pretending, and not even pretending, just with his sermon, as if nothing happens, as if it's just something that is coming, and thank her that she has a mental illness. This is one thing about narcissists. They will be the problem, but they will still be the ones to tag you someone that is mentally unstable. Like, what kind of a thing is this? I could not actually take it when I saw this, because I have had encounter with narcissistic people. They are very dangerous people. They will be the one to make you do all kinds of things and tag you, and tag you ill. Like, seriously, lovelies. Anyway, I'm just gonna give room to my other colleague to, give her sense of what she think of this video, because as I see right now, this whole thing is just something that is not adding up. This man needs to be, put behind bars. He has all hands. He has a hand on this. Even if not, physically, but he has mentally tortured this woman. Like, seriously, love this. This is, women, you need to fight to be strong. You need to leave that place, the environment that you think that is too toxic for you, that is too toxic for your health, for your mental health. Mental health is very important. Like, seriously, lovelies. Anyways, why not just leave me your own thoughts in the comment section, and let me allow my other, colleague to give her own sense, and I will see you when we upload the next
Miller was found at Limbo River State Park, and that was on April 27, and it was 2 days after her husband, Pastor John Paul Miller of Surrey Rock at Market Common Congregation, was served divorce papers by her, according to court documents, and based on the nature of the wound, that it is consistent with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. John Paul laid a complaint, told the local news station that it was not in the back of the head as it has been speculated, but before her death, she reportedly told her sister that if she was ever found dead in the exact manner she was found in the park, that her husband was responsible, according to a affidavit filed by her younger sister, Syria Francis, in Horry County Probate Court. And again, I come to know that after everything that had happened to Mica, that it was the husband who announced his wife's death to his congregation, which happened on April 28. He was saying that Mica Miller had taken her own life after struggling with mental illness. However, he was a pastor in the Church of Christ at Solid Rock at Market Common Church in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, reportedly announced Miller's death at the end of his service, saying that she had taken her own life after struggling with mental illness. It could be true. But, and also, I think Mila died by suicide on April 27th at Lumber River State Park, but some people said she died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound, and some people said Mica Miller accused a strange husband. So ever since Miller died, the details surrounding her death have gone national interest. Now, to me, I think Mica Miller was a victim of herself because she complained to her sister and other people about the incident that happened to her in case of necessity. She knew that something bad is going to happen to her, but also have come to think again about her husband. Could the husband, who happened to be a preacher of gospel, did this to his wife? Could it be true about this alleged information, and how could this be true of someone you called your wife? You plan unalive her. You know, some people who hate John Paul Miller can easily do this to Michael just to harm him and to damage all that he labored for. It could be true or it might not be true, but you know, if someone plans to get rid of you, he or she can go any extent to make sure he puts you down. Okay, now let me tell you a story of a pastor that was hated passionately in this man I'm talking about was envious by his close people who claimed to be part of the family member. Yeah, they were bitter of him and his family to the extent they go extra mile to plan evil for the pastor by unalive his wife. But before they unalive the wife, they firstly asked the wife to accuse the husband that he was responsible for her death, and then those people who forced the wife to do that were still the same people that ring alarm that the pastor was responsible to the wife death. So what am I trying to say now? It is that it might be false allegation to John Paul Miller, who they said he was responsible for his wife's suicide or whatever. It can be false allegation because, you know, someone that you married to, she gave you children and you are preaching to the people in church cannot do such thing. It's ridiculous, and I think they should do the investigation about the people that hate the Michael's husband to see and to know where the death is coming from, because this is very very ridiculous. So please guys, what do you think on this? What's your thoughts? Because this is absolutely serious. Okay guys, if you have watched up to this extent, thank you for watching. Don't forget to leave your thoughts on the comment section of what you think on this video. Don't forget, we do not support any forms of harassment or whatever. We are here for educational purposes, so please subscribe to this channel, like and share. I will see you when I upload my next video.